is my dogs do what I tell them because they get leave if they don't.
Sounds like magic to me.
Or she disagrees with something you put in there, and you fabulous staff report writer.
But yeah, we're gonna address that in a commission. Okay. I read it as Yankee intended it. Well, it did. Yeah. Yeah. But it did.
Good evening. My name is Bruce Olson. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Caldwell Hearing Examiner on September 28th, 2021. I serve in both a decision-making capacity and an advisory capacity to the mayor and city council. There are two types of public hearings that this commission conducts. The first is a legislative hearing whereby we formulate recommendations on certain land use requests. My recommendation is then forwarded onward to the city council who makes decisions on legislative matters. The second type of hearing is a quasi-judicial in nature, meaning that the requests are specific to a parcel of land. I am authorized to make decisions on requests for special use permits, variances, preliminary plat, time extensions, and planned unit developments that do not involve a subdivision of land. However, any decision I may make tonight is by no means final. Anyone that believes he or she has been aggrieved by my decision has a right to file an appeal to the city council. On quasi-judicial requests that involve the subdivision of land, rezones, and annexation, I'm authorized to only make recommendations to the city council who will make the decision. The hearing procedures as required by the Idaho Code are as follows. 1, staff will first present a report on the application. 2, the applicant or applicant's representatives will then present the summary of the request. 3, the testimony of those in support will be taken, followed by testimony from those in neutral position, followed by those in opposition. I will allow the applicant or applicant's representative rebuttal time. After rebuttal testimony is given, public testimony is closed and no new oral or written testimony will be allowed unless I elect to reopen the testimony. For those wishing to testify, the time limits are for the applicant 10 minutes, and those in favor, neutral, opposed, 5 minutes each, and then the rebuttal is 5 minutes. I accept oral and written testimony from those in attendance, but only if you sign the sign-up sheet to speak and have been sworn in. When testifying before me, you must come to the podium, state your full name and address, and acknowledge that you've been sworn in. I ask everyone to treat all parties with fairness and respect. I also ask that those in the room in attendance, please turn off your cell phones. I am a volunteer hearing examiner and receive a small compensation for my efforts. I'm charged by law to keep a clear record of proceedings, consider factual testimony, and to stay within the city's and state rules and regulations. We, the city staff, thank you for your courtesy to us and to others as we move through the process. And with that, we'll have the swearing in of those who wish to testify tonight's meeting. So you all please stand and we'll swear you in. Thank you.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Yes.
Thank you very much. Tonight's business, first of all, I just want to mention that in the old business, category 2, item 1, the case number ANN 21-1 and PUD 21-1 will be continued to November 9th, 2021 at a hearings examiner meeting. If you're here about that case, the Enclave subdivision, there'll be a hearing on that in November 9th. Thank you. The next item of business, the action item is approve the minutes of the August 24th, 2021 meeting. Those minutes are approved as annotated. Section 3, the new business, the first item is case number SUP 2107, request by Dana Vance for a special use permit to construct an electronic message center in an R1 zone on parcel R3562600. The property is located at 400 East Linden Street. With that, I'd like staff to make the presentation of staff report, please.
Good evening, Mr. Hearing Examiner, Katie Phillips, 621 Cleveland Boulevard, and I have been sworn in. As indicated, the request is for special use permit approval for an electronic message center at Wilson Elementary School located at 400 East Linden Street. The property is zoned R1, and the comprehensive plan designation is actually public. The total square footage of the proposed electronic message center is 20.88 square feet. The total square footage of the sign is approximately 44.5 square feet. The total height of the sign is 13 feet 10 inches with the message center display at 8 feet. The sign will be double-sided and fully programmable as well as dimmable. The location of the sign will be along 10th Avenue. Landscaping around the sign is required, and the applicant has provided that landscaping plan. The sign will not encroach any portion of public right-of-way, nor will it be located within any vision triangle. And the request is consistent with city code, goals, and policies. And with that, I'll stand for questions.
Thank you. I have no questions for staff. With that, I'd like to give the applicant a chance to make their presentation, please. State your name and address, and you've been sworn in.
My name is Dana Vance, from Superior Sign. My address is, business address is 120 North 21st Avenue in Caldwell, and I acknowledge that I've been sworn in.
Thank you.
Well, I'm here today to give permission for an electronic message center of any kind, with a school sign, so that the school has the opportunity to communicate with the students, the teachers, the parents, and the community. Basically, every school in town has one, and I'm not sure why they don't apply for that when they build them. This one, obviously, that one has been the case, but many of them, I think it's something that's been reviewed, because the basic nature of schools is that they need to communicate. So, with that, I stand for questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. Is there an existing sign?
No.
Okay, there's no sign that can be replaced or anything like that?
No.
Okay, thank you. The only question I have is there a discussion about hours of operation, or is this a 24/7?
It's a 24/7, but if in this particular case, where they positioned it on 10th Street, the only people that really can see it is a commercial development across the street.
Okay.
It would be, lit, during nighttime hours. But if there were to be a complaint from the neighborhood or something like that, they most certainly could have a discussion with the school and ask them to turn it down. Some schools do turn them off late at night, and if they are fully programmable, and that is not a problem.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your testimony.
You bet. Thank you.
I see no other signed up to testify on this. So, I do have just a comment staff, the proposed conditions of approval, 8.5, it refers to the exhibit PA1, the staff report. There is a typo on that I'll rectify with a condition of approval. Just wanted to note that for the record. We'll close the hearing with that. The findings of facts, the Caldwell hearing examiner accepts the facts outlined in the staff report, public testimony, and the evidence list. All adopted city ordinances, standards, and codes were used in evaluating the application. The proposed use is conditionally permitted by the terms of the ordinances and is subject to conditions of approval. Section 7, conclusions of law. The Caldwell hearing examiner has the authority to hear this case and order that it be approved or denied. The public notice requirements were met and the hearing was conducted within the guidelines of applicable Idaho Code and city ordinances. Section 8, the order of decision based on the findings of facts and conclusions of law. The Caldwell hearing examiner hereby orders the case number SUP-21-07, a request by Data Vance Superior Signs for a special use permit to construct an electronic message center within the R1 single-family residential zone located at 400 East Linden Street in Caldwell, Idaho, is approved with the following conditions of approval. There, on page 4 of 14 of the staff report, there are conditions 8.2 through 8.6, and I will modify condition 8.5 to read as follows. Applicant shall not place any portion of the sign, that is, the post, the base, the sign, the head plate, etc., in the public right of way. And strike out what is in 8.5 and replace it with that statement. And with that, I conclude that hearing, and we'll move on to the next one. Thank you very much for your attendance. The next action item, item 3-2, case number SUP-21-06, a request by Jose Valdez for the special use permit to construct an accessory structure that exceeds the square footage of the primary residence on 1.88 acres in an R2 medium-density residential zone. The property is located at 3001 Georgia Avenue, Caldwell, Idaho, parcel R3584800. And with that, I would ask the staff to make their staff report presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Hearing Examiner. Katie Phillips, 621 Cleveland Boulevard, and I have been sworn in. The request is for a special use permit to construct a accessory structure that is greater in square footage than the primary residence, located at 3001 South Georgia Avenue. The subject property is zoned R2 medium density residential, and the comprehensive plan designation is the same, R2 medium density residential. As you indicated, as I just indicated, the request is to construct the accessory structure exceeding the square footage of the residence. The existing house is 680 square feet, and the request square footage for the accessory structure will be 1,800 square feet. The shop building will be 30 feet in width by 60 feet in length and 16 feet in height, and will be comprised of a pre-finished metal material. The applicant has indicated that the shop building will be used for storage of personal items, and staff is supportive of the request. And with that, I'll stand for questions.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Phillips, for the presentation. I do have one question. Does the ordinance talk about a maximum square footage for an accessory structure? Or is it just up to this body to make that decision?
It is up to Mr. Hearing Examiner to make that determination.
Okay, but there's no upper limit or upper ratio 10 to 1?
No.
As long as it meets the setbacks?
Yes.
is there a total coverage requirement in the zoning code, for structures versus, open space on a parcel?
No, there is not.
Thank you. Let me just check, I think that's all I had. And with that, I would like to ask the applicant, to please come forward and, make the presentation.
Name's Jose Valdez, 601 East Chicago Street here in Caldwell, and I'm here to, see if I can, get a special permit to build that building. That's the
Excuse me, sir, you've been sworn in, correct? State you've been sworn in, okay,
that was for it.
thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
And, well, I really need that, special permit for that building because, I've got some equipment, some, farming implement, tools and, other, equipment that I have that I would like to get it under storage, protect it from the weather and also, make, my neighbors, or the place look a little better organized and, well, that way I haven't had any, complaint from my neighbors, but, I'm sure that would, make it even nicer, by doing that.
Okay, I do have just a couple of questions. Number one, are you gonna put power to the building?
Not now. Now, maybe later on, we probably will if we need some power, but we're not planning on having any right now.
And then my concern there was, something we looked at is if you put a lighting, a safe security light up on the outside, that it doesn't shine on the neighboring properties, keep them awake at night. And I'm gonna add that as a condition, that's just being a good neighbor. And then I was curious as to, what is the exterior, like the finish on the metal, what is that going to look like? Is it smooth, is it rippled, what kind of material is it?
It's gonna be smooth.
Okay, and how about the color, have you chosen a color?
Something a little, light gray, I believe,
It's gray?
light gray.
Okay, yeah, we're hoping to, just blend in the neighborhood and, look nice and,
Oh, yeah.
okay. And then what about the roof color?
There's gonna be just a little light difference than the body itself.
The silver gray?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, I'll add a condition of that, we just want nice subtle colors, neutral colors to blend in, nothing really crazy,
Right.
no bright red, fire stations here, okay. Thank you very much. That's all the questions I've had. I appreciate you coming and appreciate your testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we have, no others signed up to testify in this case. I will close the public hearing and get to the order of decision. For case number SUP 21-06, the findings of facts are as follows. The Caldwell hearing examiner accepts the facts outlined in the staff report, public testimony, and the evidence list. All adopted city ordinances, standards, and codes were used in evaluating the application. The proposed use is conditionally permitted by the terms of the ordinance and is subject to conditions of approval. Section 7, conclusions of law. The Caldwell hearing examiner has the authority to hear this case in order that it be approved or denied. The public notice requirements were met, and the hearing was conducted within the guidelines of applicable Idaho code and city ordinances. Section 8, the order of decision. Based on the findings of fact and conclusions of law, the Caldwell hearing examiner hereby orders that case number SUP 21-06, request by Jose Valdez for a special use permit to construct an accessory structure that exceeds the square footage of the primary residence at 3001 Georgia Avenue on parcel R3584800, Caldwell, Idaho, in an R2 medium density residential zone is approved with the following conditions of approval. On page 4 of 14 of the staff report, there are conditions 8.2 through 8.5, which I accept. And I would like to add 2 additional conditions of approval. Condition 8.6 is as follows. The exterior lighting shall not shine on the neighboring properties. Condition 8.7, exterior material should be finished in neutral colors for the roof and the siding. And with that, I'll conclude this hearing, and thank you very much for your attendance and your testimony. And we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. The next item on the agenda, new business, section 3, item 3, case number SUP 21-05. Request by Salvador Navidad for a special use permit to construct an accessory dwelling unit on .31 acres in an R1 low-density residential zone. The property is located at 2020 Ray Street, parcel R0138300. And with that, I ask the staff to make their staff report presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Herring, Examiner. Katie Phillips, 621 Cleveland Boulevard, and I have been sworn in tonight before you a request for an accessory dwelling unit in an R1 zone located at 2020 Ray Avenue. The comprehensive plan designation is low-density residential, and special use permit approval is required for that zone. In June of 2019, a building permit was issued for a covered deck, and during the inspection process, a stop work order was issued as the project appeared to be more extensive than the installation of a deck. In December of 2019, a building permit was issued for an additional living quarters on the property. And planning and zoning staff put the permit on hold until an application for special use permit approval was applied for and granted. So at this point, the applicant is requesting a special use permit to be in compliance with city code, and staff is supportive of this request.
Okay. Just a couple of questions, Ms. Phillip. One of the conditions of approval is very broad. We comply with all the applicable city codes, ordinances, policies, and standards. And this would include the residential building code.
It would.
And has someone from the city approved the building plans? I understand it's all built essentially.
Correct.
And have those plans been approved? Have they been properly inspected? And the process is all clearly within the code as built?
Yes, a certificate of occupancy has not been issued because planning and zoning has not signed off on the permit. And so I believe this is just one of the final steps to get that certificate of occupancy.
And there's exhibit PA2, the building department. Let me check that out here. Well, I'm not seeing PA2.
Page 19?
Is that the last one?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to read through this for a second. I was looking for something that says it's okay from the building department. If you had conversations, or is there an exhibit anywhere that shows that it does comply with the building code?
I do not have an exhibit to that effect. But you could make that a specific condition of approval.
Okay. I'll do that.
I know.
It's kind of, for my part, it's kind of hard to make a decision, not knowing that it is compliant 100% with the building code. That's where it's going with that. That's the only question I had. Well, one more, just look at the zoning, dimensional aspects of this. This does meet the side yard, front yard, rear yard setbacks, and
Correct.
height,
Yes,
requirements in the zone.
yes, it does.
It complies with all of that. Well, I guess one more issue, the parking is always a consideration. It appears to have a 3-car garage, and is the parking, does it meet the code for an accessory dwelling unit?
Yes, it does.
And could you just describe that for me,
An accessory dwelling unit, shall meet the following requirements, shall provide a minimum of 1 parking space, and staff believes that wide driveway, accommodates that requirement.
thank you, and then, for a single-family residence in the R1 zone, the parking requirement is for 2 off-street parking, is that's met already, in other words, the total parking for the property.
I can check that real quick.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we meeting all the standards for parking before we move forward on this. I'm sure it does.
According to code, single-family and 2-family dwellings, the minimum parking space is 2 spaces per dwelling unit.
And then they have a 3-space garage and then a large, at least a 2-space driveway. Is that correct? 2, 3 spaces.
Correct.
And the code allows required parking to be in the driveway
Yes, it does.
and in the front yard setback. Does it have to be
It does, there is no setback,
for parking?
right?
Okay, then we've established that it does adequately meet the standards for parking for the residents of the ADU. Thank you very much.
That's the, agree.
Okay, that is my questions. With that, I'd like to ask the applicant to come forward and make their presentation, please. State your name and address, and you've been sworn in, please.
Yes. My name is Salvador Sánchez Madrigal. My address is 2020 Ray Avenue, Colorado.
Include the microphone here. Thank you. You've been sworn in.
Yes, I have.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Yes, what I want to do here is, I want to make an accessible dwelling unit. Have, my son, special needs. He lives in Boise right now, and eventually I want him to come back home, and I want him to have his own separate unit from mom and dad. And that's where we got the idea of doing this one. And when they said, we have, engineered trusses were put up there, there was an engineer that checked for load to make sure everything was done. Ramsey Construction built the place. You were concerned whether it was built right or permitted or how it was done or something. I believe it's done right, you know,
Okay.
everything I've done.
It looks nice.
Yeah, so that's what I want to do. If it's possible, that's what I want to do.
Okay, great. A couple questions I had. Our primary concern in planning is for public safety. And I was just wondering, that in our discussion with the staff about it, it meets all the requirements of the building code. And, a particular question is, the stairway. And that's all to code, and that's all structurally engineered, and
Yes,
meets that code. Being, you know, the concern is it's the only way in and out, correct?
correct.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that it's gonna be safe. It does look nice, I think it's a very reasonable addition, and, you know, looks like the design is good, looks like it belongs to the house, you know, which is very nice. And, I wanna make sure, you know, that the parking was adequate. That's always a problem, people have all their cars and their toys and whatever, you know. Is this finished? Is it 99% finished or 100% or?
Everything on the outside is finished, nothing is finished in the inside.
Okay.
Still 2x4s in the inside, so
Okay,
still need to, get an electrical, permit, you know, and
all right,
everything.
so that's where they stopped you, was at the electrical,
Yeah, it's just a shell.
yeah, okay,
From the outside, it looks like it's done, but there's nothing inside now.
okay.
But like I said, those were, bonus engineer trusses that were put there, so.
Yeah, it looks really good. Did you re-roof the whole thing when you put
Yeah.
that on there?
Yeah.
That looks very nice. It's a good ad. The one part about the code here, which I'll discuss again, just in, is the code about accessory dwelling units, item 6, it says, shall provide proof of owner occupancy of the premises. Either principal resident or ADU must be occupied by the owner of the parcel on which they are constructed at all times. And the staff notes that, you provide a warranty deed establishing that you, the owner, is also the occupant.
Right.
I just wanted to talk about the logic of that, which is that, the city, encourages these kind of dwelling units as a way to provide affordable housing and to help your family out. That's all good. It's trying to avoid it being a money-making rental proposition where you live somewhere else and you have 2 rental units. And, so that's why that's in there.
Right.
You know, it's strictly about the owner, you know, having that additional unit. And it does have the caveat, you can live in the ADU or you can live in the main house and rent out either one, it doesn't matter. I just want to make that really clear, how that ordinance works. And, I'm not sure, question for staff here, if their matter got moved out, does there have to be another, special use permit for the next owner, or does this go with the property? How does that work?
Special use permits run with the land.
Okay, and so, the next owner, let's say you move somewhere, somebody else comes in, would not have to go through this process.
Correct.
Okay, great. Are there any, sir, are there any, fire prevention things like such as sprinklers or, an escape rope or anything, any way to get out of there in case of a fire?
No,
Okay,
I don't think it requires that. There's a fire hydrant probably in the corner
oh,
of the house, so probably within 50 feet of my house, 75 feet, there's a fire hydrant in the corner.
okay,
So, but no, there's not gonna be no sprinkler.
okay, well, that's kind of good to know. Yeah, again, the concern is for safety here.
Right.
I just want to make sure that's all good. That's all the questions I had, Mr. Batterfield. I appreciate you, making a testimony, and I'll consider this and, make the motion, decision. Thank you very much. Because there is no one else signed up. With that, I will close the hearing and, move to the analysis and order decision. For case number SUP -21 -05. The findings of facts, the Caldwell hearing examiner accepts the facts outlined in the staff report, public testimony, and the evidence list. All adopted city ordinances, standards, and codes were used in evaluating the application. The proposed use is conditionally permitted by the terms of the ordinance and is subject to conditions of approval. The conclusion of law. Caldwell hearing examiner has the authority to hear this case and order that it be approved or denied. The public notice requirements were met and the hearing was conducted within the guidelines of applicable Idaho code and city ordinances. Section 8, order of decision. Based on the findings of fact and conclusions of law, the Caldwell hearing examiner hereby orders that case number SUP -21 -05, request by Salvador and Marissa Madrigal for the construction of an accessory dwelling unit, ADU, located at 2020 Ray Avenue on parcel R01383000 in Caldwell, Idaho, in an R1 low-density residential zone, is approved with the following conditions of approval. On page 419, in the staff report, there are 3 conditions of approval, 8.2 through 8.4. And I would like to add that 8.5, and this is a bit repetitive, but this structure must comply with the residential code, specifically pertaining to the stairway and fire safety issues. And with that, I will close this hearing. I thank you for your testimony and your attendance. And with that, that will conclude the hearing. Thank you very much for all your help. Okay, that's 36 minutes, I said 30.